A word on notation before we get into this table of differentials. The differential function uses notation to tell us it's the differential function. And it's a notation that includes the independent variable and the dependent variable. So in general we use y and x, but we don't have to. So on a set of axes you would normally have, we're familiar with the idea of x being that one and y being that one. This is called the independent variable. Good job, I left myself loads of room there. And dependent variable up here. The independent variable is the one that generally changes, and that's often time. The dependent variable is the one that depends on that. We've talked about this before. Okay? Y and x, often. One notation is just this, y and x, so we've got y on one, x on the other. And the notation for the differential would be the differential of y with respect to x, dy by dx. If I apply my notation to the function in this form, in saying it's y in terms of x, so in brackets we're saying what the independent variable is, then we use a different notation for the differential. We say y prime x, where prime here means the differential. Now this notation comes into its own when we start finding things like the second differential. It's very easy to write the second differential in this notation because we just write y double prime. It's a bit more awkward. We have to write d2y by dx squared for the second differential there. So it starts getting a little bit iffy, and so this is often used as it's more straightforward. So similarly, I don't have to use y and x. It could be, how does g vary with t? I can use any letter I want. And so now I'd write the differential as the differential of g with respect to t, saying that g is the dependent variable and t is the independent variable. The independent variable is always the one underneath. If I'm using this notation gt equals at, then I would just use g prime t. So that's the notation that we use with differential calculus. It can be any letter that we use. If I'm using displacement s with time, it'll be ds by dt. Current with time, di by dt, or I prime t. So the letters can change, but the actual notation is the same.